Hello all you beautiful lads, lassies, and those of unspecified gender, it's the Irishman here, and today I'm going to be talking about what would have happened if Goku married Android 18. Now the story can't start at any one point. For two people to get married, there has to be a lot of chemistry between them. And sadly, the closest thing they have is Dr. Gero, but he's an engineering major, not chemistry. Corny dad jokes aside, we would still be starting our story in Dr. Gero's laboratory, only a few days after the defeat of King Piccolo.
Number 17, 18. This is the newest member to your little family. Number 19. I expect to see you three getting along while I prepare for your operation.
Then, Dr. Gero would leave the room, entering his private office, while 17 and 18 talks amongst each other, before then entering conversation with Piccolo. "So the good doctor snatched you up too, huh?" 17 would ask as Piccolo looks around the room. Instead of answering the question, he would instead respond with his own, wondering what operation the good doctor was actually talking about, and 17 and 18 don't really know. He had been talking about some operation for some time now, but they don't really know what he means. He's also been preparing for something relatively big, but they don't really get any information from him. It's not like they're going to be informed on every little detail. They are victims here, victims of kidnapping, not some guests in his home. And as the hours would fly by, the three would begin talking, learning more and more about each other. Lapis and Lazuli were actually twins, and Piccolo was just some random child Dr. Gero had interest in. Well, not random child, he was certainly different from any ordinary kid. The green skin as well as pointy elf-like ears kind of gave that away, but still. They would discuss what they want to do after getting out of this mad scientist's experiment. 17 really just wants to get back to his job at their local zoo, while 18 wants to actually talk and connect with this strange boy she met a few days before getting kidnapped. And Piccolo says that he wants to get revenge on the child that killed his father, or man that killed his father. Piccolo doesn't have a ton of details on the guy, but he knows vaguely what he looks like and wants to get his revenge. The twins would decide to ignore the murderous aspirations of the child and poke fun at each other's goals. 17 would joke, saying that after she gets out of this horrible, life-changing experience, her first thoughts are to go back to some boy she met a few days ago that she doesn't really even know. That's just weird. But then 18 would retort, saying that 17 wants to go back to his 9 to 5. After having this incredible, weird, horrible thing happen to him, his thoughts are going back to his day job. That's what he daydreams about after getting out of this mad scientist's torture chamber. That's just silly. The next day, Dr. Gero would begin pulling the children one by one. First to go would be Piccolo, who would go into the operation quite calmly. But then, after a few short minutes, he would begin screaming bloody murder. From all the intense pain as well as agonizing torture, he would pass out quickly though. Now, 17 would be next up to the chopping block, and he would have quite a similar interaction. First, he would shoot 18 a knowing grin, as if to say, "Don't worry, you will see me again, one way or another." Then, he would follow the Mad Doctor into his chambers. Then, Dr. Gero would begin the same surgery, although a bit differently to what he did with Piccolo. There was some new details to be added after getting some much needed information from Piccolo. Then, 17 would come out of the operation looking much worse for wear, although he is still very much alive. Both him and Piccolo are still unconscious, lied next to each other on the ground, but now it's 18's turn. 18 would be brought into the operating room and laid down on the same table as the others, with a new paper-thin sheet on it. concealing some of the blood, but nowhere near all of it. There was still obvious signs of struggle and pain, and as 18 looks over to the other two, she would question to the doctor if they're still alive. He would respond by saying, in a certain sense, they are dead, but they are also so much more than alive. First, Jiro would use a syringe to inject odd purple liquid into the tied down teenager. Something about that sounds very wrong. As 18 would begin to grunt and struggle, Jiro would begin replacing her soft and weak human body with new mechanical parts. Some of her original form would still remain. There are some benefits to being human after all, but by the time the procedure is over, most of her body is transformed into a machine. And then, once it's all over, Jiro would walk over to his supercomputer and start typing some stuff into it.
You know, girl, you screamed a lot less than the other two. It's quite impressive, really. But it's not all over yet.
And then Jiro would press two buttons. First, he would press the subscribe button to the Irishman because, he's a pretty cool dude. And then he would press a play button, then activating a signal to ring through 18's head over and over and over again.
Kill Son Goku. Kill Son Goku. Kill Son Goku. Kill Son Goku.
And then 18 would jolt awake, her cybernetic enhancements flaring up as she would scream out, letting out an insane electrical field of powerful energy before then looking out at the Mad Doctor. Jiro would begin to grin, thinking that she was directing this hatred at Goku, the person he had sworn to kill, but he couldn't have been more wrong. She powers up a beam of energy before then launching it straight at Jiro, killing him instantly. She would then immediately rush over to her brother, Lapis, or 17 as he would now be known. 18 would be scared and afraid that her brother was truly dead, and as she tries to shake him awake, the only thing that comes out from 17 is kill Son Goku. Kill Son Goku. 18 is afraid was her brother really turned into a mindless drone. Seems so. After breaking into tears looking at her brother, she would then get up to her feet and walk over to the door. She would give one last look at 17 as well as Piccolo, before then vowing to find a way to bring them back. She would then fly off, and as she does, Jiro would have activated a failsafe, just in case he were to ever be killed by one of these superpowered teenagers. The lab was set to go into lockdown, while whatever remained of his brain was cloned into a new cybernetic body. That way he could continue living, even if he died. He was a smart man, and he had failsafes, especially knowing he would be working with very unpredictable circumstances. As 18 is out roaming around the planet, she would be looking for someone, anyone, to help her, and eventually she would find a place to stay. Nowhere notable, just some random apartment building, but she'd be able to live there and maybe find some information on how she can bring back her brother. And after around 3 years, she would have actually gotten some information on the Red Ribbon Army, such as that it was a defunct military operation that was, well, completely and utterly destroyed a few years back by some kid named Son Goku. This makes all too much sense now. But as she is looking through the pictures of the Red Ribbon and the person who destroyed it, she would see the same strange boy she wanted to see before, the person she was talking about to 17. That was the kid. That was the kid she met a few days before being kidnapped. Is there any correlation? Is it possible? well, she suspects not, it's probably just a coincidence, but if she can find that person, maybe he can help her bring her brother back. She already wanted to find him, she already wanted to get to know him a bit better, but now she has way more motivation. And after the 3 years have passed, she would go to a place where she is sure that she can find him, as well as a place where she can make some extra money on the side. Because, 18 does like money quite a bit. Once 18 is signed up for the tournament, she would be introduced to the other contestants, such as Tien, Yamcha, Krillin, Chi-Chi, as well as Goku. Now, I'm going to say that Krillin and Chi-Chi here are actually a couple, as I think it'd be a pretty cute thing to do. Also, we have to give Krillin something here. Once everyone is properly acquainted as well as accounted for, the matches would begin. Now, most of the tournament would actually go the same, except 18 would be replacing Piccolo, as currently he is still in Dr. Gero's lab and cannot participate in the tournament. So 18 would face up against Krillin first, and yeah, this would be a landslide victory for the android. 18 wouldn't have any romantic feelings towards Krillin in this AU, and even if she did, it would still be a landslide victory for her. Next up, she would fight against Kami. And then, well, I'll just let you guys guess how that would go. If you guessed very easy for 18, you are once again correct. Keep in mind, she would be at the same strength she was in the Android Saga. It's just that here, she was able to escape from Dr. Gero prior to being basically put in sleep mode for at least a decade. Now, it was heavily implied in the original that 17 and 18 were actually operational a while before they were released in the Android Saga. Dr. Gero just had to put them into sleep mode because they were too rowdy and made an attempt on his life. Here, well, 18 would have made an attempt on his life, and succeeded, and now with Dr. Gero killed, she would be able to flee. Now, Dr. Gero is still alive, as I said earlier, but 18 has actually escaped. So, yeah, 18 would absolutely devastate Kami, and then on to her fight with Goku. Now, this one would actually be very interesting, as after Android 18's fight with Krillin, Goku would have talked with his best friend, commenting on how amazing this weird girl was. She was so strong, she was so cool, she was so confident. Goku is having a major case of the butterflies, which is something Krillin is shocked to see. He wasn't sure if Goku would ever actually develop any romantic feelings for someone. Goku really only cared about fighting, or at least that's how he saw it, and he's not too far off. It's just, Android 18 seemed really good at fighting. And Goku also thought she was kinda cute. Now, Krillin would of course agree, saying that she was definitely a looker, and, well, couldn't blame Goku if he were to go after her, and that's exactly what Goku would do, asking if, well, she could make sure to make it to the finals. That way, Goku and her can actually have a bit of a sparring session. And 18, realizing that he is attempting to flirt with her in his own special way, would agree, promising to make it to the finals and giving a bit of a smirk, before then walking off, and Goku would walk back over to Krillin, saying that, yeah, she said she would make it to the finals, now they're going to get to fight! And, well, what did Krillin expect? I guess he kinda rizzed her up a little bit. Much like how Android 18 made quick and easy work of Kami, Goku would do the same with Tien. Granted, it would go basically the same as it did before, Goku taking off his weighted clothing and then running circles around Tien. The fight would be pretty easy in Goku's favor, although Tien was still able to put up a pretty good fight. Remember, Tien is still cool in this part of the series. Now it's on to the finals, Goku versus Android 18, or so you might expect, if I wasn't gaslighting all of you this entire time. Goku would have had his first match against Tien, much like how Android 18 had her first match against Krillin, although Goku has a second match before fighting against 18. His second match is against Piccolo, the newly made android who is out for blood. Although it would have taken a while, Piccolo would still have been able to escape from Dr. Gero, much like 18, although 17 wasn't able to. See, 17 was still brainwashed by Dr. Gero, but not to the same extent as Piccolo. But they were also brainwashed in different ways. 17 was meant to have his entire humanity taken away, while Piccolo was meant to have his bloodlust trumped up. And that's exactly what would happen here. Piccolo would be gunning to kill and nothing more. Once he enters the tournament, he would be out for Goku's head. And now, with Piccolo entering the ring, he would do just that, going to kill Goku. And every strike he lands would be near fatal. Goku would realize he can't play around here and give it his all. Although Piccolo was still certainly stronger than he was originally, it's not to the same extent as 17 or 18. They were built to be weapons for the Mad Doctor. They were built to be incredibly powerful. Piccolo, on the other hand, was mostly just being studied and modified sparingly. Gero wanted to know what made Piccolo stronger than the average human. What made up his cells, his DNA? What was a Namekian in essence? And he would be able to actually figure that out and give some of Piccolo's traits to himself as well as 17 and 18. That's what the purple liquid in the syringe that Dr. Gero injected into 18 was. It was Piccolo's blood that was modified to give a human the same capabilities as a Namekian, such as regeneration, incredible ki control off the bat, as well as different sorts of Namekian brand abilities. Think stretching your arms out. Now, although 18 doesn't have most of these, stuff like regeneration to a certain extent, as well as the enhanced ki control, is definitely something she would gain here. But what does this have to do with Piccolo's strength? Well, a lot, actually, as this would be demonstrating how Piccolo would not have the same cybernetic enhancements as the other two androids. He has some, but not the same. Instead, he was being used to test the different capabilities and extent of Namekian abilities. So, Piccolo would be put through torture and different sorts of harsh environments to test how Namekians worked. He wouldn't be given the same cybernetic abilities and strength boost that 17 and 18 were given. He would certainly be stronger, but not to the same extent, only about the same strength as Nappa. So although Goku is certainly on the lower end of the power scale here, he is still able to put up a good fight, as Piccolo is extremely fatigued and can't fight at his absolute max, as well as the fact that right now he is mostly just an animal, really, as his attacks don't really have any coordination or any finesse put into them. He's mostly just attacking rapidly. With a well-placed kick to Piccolo's head, and then a point-blank Kamehameha, Piccolo is knocked out, and Kami would then take him back up to the lookout, not killing him, but instead trying to calm down his mind and possibly reason with this other half of his being. This was Goku's request, as he didn't want to see Piccolo killed. He was incredibly powerful, and he just wants to make sure he can actually mature to the same level as Kami, that way all of that potential isn't wasted. And now it really is on to the finals. Goku and 18 would be standing opposite to each other. And then, as the bell is rung and the battle begins, Goku would rush to 18, landing blow after blow, which 18 would either counter or dodge. Goku isn't actually all that powerful, although 18 would still play around with him a bit, not wanting to outclass him so much that he actually feels bad or anything. Then Goku would try and launch a Kamehameha at 18, but she would just walk through it, which Goku is surprised as well as amazed by. Then 18 would give Goku a kiss on the cheek, and while he blushes, she would hit him in the stomach, knocking him out of the arena. Goku would clobber back up to his feet and look at 18. While his chin is resting on the arena, she would walk over and give him a hand up. Then, as he's pulled back into the ring, the announcer would declare 18 the winner. And Goku is shocked and surprised, but then the two of them would leave together, 18 being the one to really suggest this happens. She would ask where Goku's house is, and he would show her to Grandpa Gohan's home. Atop Mount Paozu, the two of them would have a, let's say, active night. 9 months later, by this time, the two of them are married, and Gohan is born. And that is where we're going to be ending things for today. I hope you all enjoyed watching this, as I certainly enjoyed making it, and I know it was heavily requested. I hope you all have an excellent day. Thank you so very much for watching, and this is, always has been, and always will be the Irishman. Talk to you later. Bye.